Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and this is MD12 for Tuesday, July 31st, 2012, broadcasting from the Cable 12 studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, more details about the bacterial outbreak that killed 2 babies at Pmh. The Prime Minister responds to the probe launched into BTC renationalization talks. A private plane crash lands on Grand Bahama. Arawak key vendors have mixed views about an eviction threat, and the non-resident ambassador to CARICOM announced. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. Your MB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. Many questions left unanswered today as officials from Princess Margaret Hospital at times struggled to provide clarity to the circumstances surrounding the infection of 8 babies at the hospital over the past few weeks. Jasmine Bonamy tells us what they do know in this report.
It was 4 days ago that the Public Hospitals Authority released a statement revealing that 8 babies in the unit had contracted the bacteria. Since then, 2 of those babies have died, and today hospital officials are revealing what they're doing to prevent any more deaths. During that press conference at Princess Margaret Hospital, Medical Chief of Staff at Pmh Dr. Jeffrey Pennerman explained what medical officials are doing to combat the deadly Acinetobacter bacteria. Dr. Pennerman outlined how they believe the outbreak started at exactly when those deaths occurred. He revealed that the first death occurred on July 4th, while the second occurred on July 17th. It was not until a day later that hospital officials declared an outbreak. Dr. Pennerman says all of the babies were premature with weakened immune systems.
The infants testing positive were all critically ill and on a mechanical ventilator at the time. Continued screening has revealed that 5 of the infants are still colonized with the organism. But just to clarify, when we say colonized, bacteria is present in areas that are swabbed, but the child is not suffering any ill effects, that child is not sick.
He added that although the outbreak has been contained, it is possible for a new case to occur. Acinetobacter is a pathogenic bacterium that is resistant to most antibiotics, and hospital officials say as a result it is incredibly hard to treat. Today, officials say they could not say how the outbreak started and what caused it. They also would not reveal the nationalities of the babies.
The organism that we're talking about is one that is waterborne. It likes water. All the water-containing equipment, such as, say, a humidifier on a mechanical ventilator, and the hoses that may be attempted to it, that may be attached to it, rather, all of those were tested, and we did not find this organism in those areas. I'm sorry to say, at this point in time, we can't say with any certainty exactly how it started. We know we've got it. We did test the air conditioning systems for it, and we thought that there was some suspicious activity on the coils, but we are awaiting confirmation.
Meantime, the other infected babies are remaining in NICU and will not be housed with children who are infected, according to Dr. Pennerman. The outbreak has sparked much public interest, with Minister of Health Dr. Perry Gomez not publicly speaking about the deaths before last Friday. In a recent interview with the Nassau Guardian, he revealed that the first case of the infection was discovered about 3 to 4 weeks ago. Today, Dr. Gomez was noticeably absent from the press conference. Pennerman explained that the PHA thought it best to let hospital officials answer questions.
I can't speak to that. There's a lot of stuff going on in the newspapers. The institution thought it would be useful to try and clear the air and to reassure people. I don't know. It may well be that
Is he aware you having this? You invited him?
I'm certain he's aware. Yes.
You invited him?
They've invited him to the press conference. No, the management did not invite him to the press conference specifically.
Dr. Pennerman insists they are doing their best. He adds that there is no need to worry about the infection spreading to other parts of the hospital.
We get infections in babies and adults and all sorts, all the time, you know. And we deal with them as we are trained to do.
This isn't the first time such an outbreak occurred in the Bahamas. In August 1996, 8 infants were infected with Acinetobacter while at Pmh. 3 infants died that year. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Prime Minister Perry Christie today responding to questions raised by international credit ratings agency Moody's about his government's intentions to buy back majority control of the Bahamas telecommunications company, BTC. During a press conference in the Majority Room at the House of Assembly this afternoon, the Prime Minister called Moody's criticisms in today's Nassau Guardian unfair. Here's Charisma Robinson.
Assistant Vice President and analyst at Moody's, Edward Al-Husseini, confirmed with Guardian Business yesterday that he has reached out to the Progressive Liberal Party in an effort to resolve the million-dollar question of how the government would pay for the renationalization of its only mobile services provider. However, the Prime Minister told reporters today that not one Moody's representative has spoken to him about his government's mandate.
If you are truly not sure what is happening, then the first order of business is you ask the question of the relevant people. And I am the Minister of Finance, Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Halkitis, has not been spoken to about it. And so the first indication as to their not knowing what is happening or not being sure what the motives are, came from our looking at the newspaper. And so that's not the way I would have thought Moody's would want to do business in the Bahamas.
Al-Husseini said Moody's simply wants to establish if the move by the PLP makes sense and is indeed in the public interest. Christie says there is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. In fact, he says in his recent discussions with CWC executives, he made it a point to ensure that his mandate was clearly understood.
Any sort of reading or rating of the Bahamas is important. And the government of the Bahamas will always be concerned about ensuring that it is rated positively. We think they were very, very cordial and respectful in their meetings with me, and so was I with them. And I thought going into this period now ahead of us that we have established the right context for our discussions. And whereas they would say to me, oh, we're going to try and persuade you, or dissuade you against the action, persuade you not to do it. And I say, okay, and I'm going to persuade you that it's something that I have to do, but I knew that you know it. So let's just get on with it and get it done. So, you know, everything's okay. The opposition is making some point about that, but then that's what they are.
The government currently controls the remaining 49% of BTC. The Prime Minister has announced that he has cancelled any share offering in light of the upcoming negotiations with CWC. Today, he further explained that decision.
When I came in and saw the plan that the government of the Bahamas had gone significantly over their limits in overdraft and was deciding to sell shares to meet this new situation that had developed to the Bahamian people, 7, 8, 9%, I said that is not on the agenda at this time for our government. Not that we are opposed to Bahamians having shares, because ultimately that is always the intention, to ensure that the majority of the company is owned by Bahamians. The point I want to make is that I just hope that the monies they're spending on public relations is not intended to be public relations to negatively impact my government, or to communicate things to me that they could communicate very easily by picking up the telephone or making an appointment to see me.
The recently appointed negotiating team is expected to meet with cable and wireless negotiators in mid-August. Businessman Franklin Wilson, former Attorney General Sean McQueenie, Attorney Rowena Bethel, and former BTC CEO Leon Williams make up the Bahamian team.
The Prime Minister says he will meet with the negotiators soon so that they can create the framework for the discussions moving forward. Reporting for NB12, I'm Charisma Robinson.
While President of the Bahamas Communications and Public Officers Union, Bernard Evans, says his union will do its best to stay out of the government's negotiations to regain majority ownership in BTC. Evans sat down with MB12 today and revealed that his union will, however, be available as a well-informed source of information if need be.
We have studied extensively prior to this sale, and so many of the points of concerns that we raised, we certainly would be a resource that if they want to tap into, we'd be more than happy to. But we're not, asking to go around the table. If we can stay out of it, we prefer to stay out of it. But certainly, if asked to provide some assistance, we would not shun that either.
The BCPOU and its sister union, the Bahamas Communications and Public Managers Union, led the charge in protesting the sale of BTC prior to privatization in 2011. Evans says the union's quest has always been to have the majority of BTC's shares owned by Bahamians, but the fight was never about BTC's employees. Today, Evans gave his take on the Prime Minister's cancellation of the previously proposed public offering of 9% of its shares in BTC.
All of this is such a crucial and critical component of the Bahamas moving forward. We in the BCPO just feel that kind of technology and the importance of it has to be controlled or in the controlling hands of Bahamians and not a foreign entity. And so whether or not it may come back to majority shares is neither here nor there for us. That is a matter, as you know, that will be discussed by the government. We are hopeful.
Whatever the outcome, Evans says his members will continue to focus on delivering quality service to the Bahamian people. A 6-seater private plane crash-landed 1 mile east of the Grand Bahama International Airport this afternoon. Grand Bahama Police Liaison Officer ASP Loretta Mackey confirmed that 2 men and 1 woman were on board, along with a 10-year-old girl. Reports are they were leaving Freeport headed to Eleuthera. The mother and daughter were able to walk away unharmed, and the 2 men sustained minor injuries. We will continue to follow this story and bring you more details as they become available.